Hello everyone. Today we are going to understand what exactly karma is and if I have to change karma in this lifetime, what all actions I need to take. So instead of looking at karma on a very high level with respect to thought, speech, and action, and looking at karma from the lenses of cause and effect, we want to go into a deeper layer to understand what causes we create, why we create those causes, and how I can change the causes to get the ripple effect in the terms of the right effects as well. Now, I want you to be with me for the next 20 minutes and try to understand the entire gamut of things around karma. Why I'm saying so? Because in this particular video, we are going to understand karma when with the help of looking at multiple Buddhist concepts. So we will look at the standard concept of law of cause and effect. Then we will also look at from the lenses of the 10 factors of life. We will also review the 9 level of consciousness, and then we will also review the 3 poisons. So if we really need to change the karma, if we really need to bring the human revolution from within, we need to have a holistic view. And without wasting a lot of time, any time further, let's quickly understand what exactly karma is and how we can able to change the karma in this lifetime. So at the very superficial level, karma is nothing but what we create. Karma basically means creating an action, and whatever action we create, it will result into a reaction, and that reaction we call effect, and action which we create, action we do is called cause. So think of it like that. From the physics point of view, action and reaction. From the spiritual realm, it is cause and effect, right? So first and very straightforward question: how do we create karma? We create karma based on what we think, what we speak, and what action we do in our daily life, right? Now, this is a very rudimentary, at a very superficial level understanding of how we create karma. And if we start thinking in the right direction, if we start speaking in the right way, and if we take the right action in our life, we will be able to create the right causes, and through the relation of cause and effect, we will be able to have a better effect over the longer duration of time. Now, I want to ask a very straightforward, simple question that I understand I need to start thinking in the right way. But what is stopping me from thinking in the right way? Why I think in a particular way? Why I am able? Why I unconsciously, subconsciously start thinking in a particular way or start acting in a particular manner? Once we understand the root cause of how we think, ultimately, then we will be able to change. Then we will be able to do the reflection, and then the change will start coming from within, right? Because whatever I speak, whatever action I do, the origination, the germination of all the things start with how I think. Now I have to go and understand why I think in a particular way. So that's our second point. Why we create a particular thought, speech, and action. And to understand that concept, we need to understand a concept of 9 level of consciousness. So there is a concept in Buddhism which talks about the 9 level of consciousness. I will create a detailed video on that separately. But just to give you a sliver of the overall scheme of things, the 8th level of consciousness is our karmic storehouse, and the 9th level, the last, the bottom, the purest form of the 9th of the consciousness is Myoho Renge, which is nothing but our pure self, which is our Buddhahood is. So think of it like that. Over the period of our, the cycle of life and death, over the period of time, we have accumulated a lot of karma. Whatever karma we have accumulated, that gets starts stored in our 8th level of consciousness, and that 8th level of consciousness govern our entire karmic storehouse, right? Now, out of the entire, think of it like that, entire buffet of the karma which we have accumulated over multiple lifetime, some portion of the karma will start coming up, or think of it like that, out of the entire set of the karmic storehouse, certain piece is allocated for this lifetime, right? And that piece which has been allocated for this lifetime is ultimately result in our tendencies. This ultimately results in how we have a good characteristics, what bad characteristics or not so good characteristics we have. This is something which we call samskar or tendencies. And ultimately, the karmic storehouse, the one sliver of the karma which is coming in this life, as per Hinduism also, it is called prarabdha karma, the portion of the karma which we have to expiate, which we have to experience and overcome in this lifetime, so that we can increase our level of consciousness, we can increase our level of awareness, awakening, and ultimately reach towards a better life state. Nonetheless, so in a short form, I understand that I need to create the right causes, but before even I think about thinking in the right manner, I need to understand why I think in a particular manner. To understand that, the idea is there is a karmic storehouse. This karmic storehouse ultimately help us, or kind of think of it like that, this karmic storehouse program, as we born, as we are about to born, or as we born and progress in a particular family, we start fine tuning our functions. Some functions are good, some functions are bad. So that is a one scheme of the thing, that is a one part of the story. The other part of the story is that while we focus most of the time on the cause, but we need to understand, even before the cause, there is something called internal cause. And while we talk about cause and effect, between cause and effect, there is something called latent effect, right? And once we close this loop, then only we will be to start understanding how cause and effect actually works on day-to-day basis. Now, cause to manifest effect is something which we know very clearly. Most of the people know. Why? Because we know that if I am creating cause today, it will take some time for that to start coming up, opening up, and manifesting in my day-to-day life, right? For example, if I, on a day-to-day basis, if I am putting a lot of efforts, hard work in at my office or in my studies, so I'm creating the right causes, but that cause will result in a better marks, better promotion, better acknowledgement over the period of years. It is not going to happen next day. So whatever cause you are creating, that will result in manifest effect. But there will be a period of latency. There will be a period of hidden. Latent, if I talk from the dictionary point of view, latent means hidden, something which cannot be seen. So we have to continue to create the right causes, and we have to be assured that it will going to manifest when the right time comes, when the right conditions manifest. And life is continuous in nature, it is eternal in nature. But when we talk about cause, we need to also understand the concept of internal cause. And this internal cause is something which is responsible for creating the cause. And this is something where it is written in the 10 factors of life. So I'll create a separate video for 10 factors of life as well. But just to give you a summary, when we talk about Ichinin Sanzen, we talk about the Ichinin Sanzen. We also know 3000 realms in a single moment of life. That 3000 number comes by the when we multiply 10 worlds, mutual possession of 10 worlds, 3 kinds of realms, and 10 factors of life. So that's how 10 into 10 into 3 into 10, 3000 number comes into picture. And this 10 factors of life is very important concept. In fact, when we do Gongyo morning and evening, on the first half, the second chapter which we recite as part of the Gongyo, we end the first part of the Gongyo with reciting a particular portion, Nyozeso, Nyozesho, 3 times, right? So that 3 times, why we recite it? Because of the 3 realms. And what are these Nyozeso, Nyozesho, Nyozetai? These are nothing but the 10 factors. So maybe most of the people don't know, but daily, morning and evening, we are putting emphasis on this particular 10 factors of life and 3 realms. So this kind of importance has been given to this particular concept. So what we have understood till now, let's take a step back. We know that karma is created based on how we think, what we speak, and what action we do. But my problem is, I need to understand why I think in a particular way. To understand why I think in a particular way, I need to go back to understand what kind of a karmic storehouse I have. That karmic storehouse ultimately that karmic storehouse trigger what kind of internal cause I'm going to make, my life going to make, and that internal cause ultimately result in my thinking process. That internal cause will result in how I'm going to speak, and this internal cause is responsible for what action I'm going to take, right? And then the chain of karma, cause and effect, start coming into picture. So now point is, what define this internal cause? This internal cause is defined based on the karmic storehouse, and this karmic storehouse has lot of karma which is accumulated over the period of time, and some portion of that karma is going to come in this life, and that karma gives us certain sanskar, certain tendencies. Now these tendencies can be good, these tendencies can be bad. So there can be kids, there can be newborn baby, there can be small child which have by design from the samskar, they have some good habits, like they have a more patience than the other kids of their age. There can be kids who are better in leadership, able to control their emotions better, and there can be some kids who have more compassion than the other kids. So these are the good qualities which any family or parent has not given to them. Even in a same family, the two kids will not be same. Why? Because based on their karmic storehouse, some portion is coming in this life, and that portion is giving them some good tendencies, good samskar, and they are also giving them some bad tendency or bad samskar. Now the beauty of Buddhism is that we can very clearly categorize whatever bad tendencies we have into just three buckets: greed, anger, and foolishness. So even in your case, whatever decision you have taken and regret it later, you can most likely, even not most likely, all I can say it with 100% conviction that whatever decision you have taken and regretted later in your life would have been on the basis of greed, anger, or foolishness. So whatever bad causes we create, whatever internal cause get triggered which result in a bad cause, which will result in a bad manifest effect, is ultimately can be bucketed down into these three buckets: greed, anger, and foolishness. So at the bottom level of my life, at the rock bottom level of my life, if I have to do human revolution, if I have to make sure that I change my karma, whether it's a relationship karma, financial karma, or health karma, whatever karma you want to change, ultimately you have to come to these three buckets only. And once you start identifying your life, that which are the few tendencies which are causing you, which of these tendencies or the combination of tendencies is most dominant in your life, and then you start working backwards to start reflecting in your life while chanting to understand which is the one which is creating a lot of bad karma for me. And then once you start observing your mind, once you start understanding, acknowledging, and then only you will start creating the right karma, and you will be able to remove this internal cause from the roots itself. Now let's talk about these three karmas, bad karmas, which are categorized into greed, anger, and foolishness. Greed, and by the way, all these greed, anger, and foolishness combinedly are all three poisons in Buddhism. So and we also know the concept of turning poison into medicine. So once we acknowledge what the poison is, only then you will be able to convert it into medicine only, right? So let's understand what this greed, anger, and foolishness basically means. Now, greed basically means want of something which is more than what you require, right? Or maybe the insatiable hunger to acquire more and more and more without even thinking of creating any value out of it, right? So it can be a greed of a food, it can be a greed of power, that I want to be famous, I want to have more money, I want to have a power so that all people obey my orders, right? So that can be one greed, which is termed as one of the negative samskar, which is originating from the karmic storehouse, and ultimately this samskar is resulting in the way you think, right? And this samskar ultimately result in the way you think, and then based on that thinking you speak or you take action. Just to give you a small example, that even though I know that maybe sweets are not good for me, even though I know that I am overweight and I need to control on my the kind of food I am eating, the junk food, but as soon as sweets come in front of me, though my conscious mind or consciously I am able to control myself, but unconsciously this is the internal cause, the greed which I have to taste or to eat that particular food will trigger, and sooner or later you will eat that thing. So why I'm saying sooner or later, you may be able to control yourself for a month, but because you are not addressing this greed, and internal cause directly, it will going to dominate over the period of time, right? It can be a greed of power. So it can be a greed of money, it can be a greed of becoming a famous, or it can be a greed of lust, bodily pleasure. So that is something which we need to be aware of. Now Buddhism talks about earthly desires are enlightenment. So no one is telling you to not seek food, not seek earthly desires of a good food, earthly desire of a money, earthly desire of power or bodily pleasure. But you need to go back and really understand why you want that particular food or particular power, and how you are going to create value. That's the meaning of changing poison into medicine. The second is anger. So anger are of two types. One is internal anger, the other is external anger, which is something which everyone can see. So internal anger in terms of envy and jealousy, the frustration, right? So many a times we may be smiling from outside, but within we are feeling very envy of other people's success, or maybe we are feeling jealous of, maybe my neighbor or my friend and whatnot, or maybe I'm frustrated internally of why I'm not able to do certain things, and that is creating a lot of frustration, and that frustration may lead to creating the not the right cause, not the right speech, and not the right action. Or maybe the anger in terms of envy and jealousy can make me start feeling very low, and I can get into the hell life condition as well. And of course, anger in form of yelling, anger in form of fighting, anger in form of charging someone. Typical example of maybe a road rage, or example of you're not able to control yourself and you smash someone. All these are the causes you are creating. But before creating the cause, let's look at the internal cause. Once we start working on the greed, once we start acknowledging and understanding our anger, we will be able to work on it over the period of time. And then once this changes, then our karma will change. And think of it like that, just like there is a muscle memory, right? So what is the meaning of muscle memory? So if I am playing tennis, lawn tennis on a daily basis, then, or for that matter any sports for that matter, these people will understand what muscle memory is. That because the reaction time from the time the ball comes and you hit, if you start hitting it consciously, you won't be able to hit at such a speed. So over the period of time you have practiced yourself, and over the period of time you have made your muscles behave in a certain manner. Same goes for ladies who are cooking, or gents for that matter who are cooking, because when they start chopping onion in a certain manner, so our muscle memory start kicking in, and most of the time when we do a certain task, for example driving, cycling, we are doing it unconsciously. Similar to that, this greed, anger and foolishness, these are also the tendencies which are beyond the physical realm, which are beyond the muscle realm, right? These are coming from our 8th storehouse of the karma. So these are very, very strong tendencies which we are born with, right? And as we progress in our life, as we age in our life, these tendencies start becoming dominant in our life, right? So first of all, you have to be very careful what kind of challenges you are going to face, right? And we have to not take it lightly, right? And we know the devil king of 6th heaven, whenever this we are about to eliminate any of these bad tendencies in our life, the greed, anger, foolishness will come in such a subtle manner in our life and try to sway it. Only when we chant on a daily basis, only when we are in a high life condition, we will be able to recognize that this is how the devil king of 6th heaven is working, and we will be able to avert those scenarios. So anger, and then the last one is foolishness. So foolishness doesn't mean stupid. It doesn't mean lack of wisdom. Foolishness basically means you are not believing in your Buddha nature, and or you may not be believing in the other's Buddha nature. So that basically means you are demeaning your life. You are thinking I'm not capable of a certain thing, and that is letting you down. Maybe that is creating a depression in your life, or you are not thinking the other person is capable of, and you are demeaning that life in terms of putting that person down, or in terms of not putting your 100% effort to teach or conduct a dialogue for that matter. So overall, the scheme of the things is, if we really need to change our karma, whatever karma, health karma, financial karma, relationship karma, ultimately we need to start creating the right causes. But just at this level, it doesn't make a cut. So we have to understand why I am thinking in a certain way, why I speak in a certain way, and why I am acting in a certain way. And you can directly understand directly. If I have to remove everything on the this whiteboard, I can only pick how we create TSA and map it to greed, anger, and foolishness. As simple as that. In the time I'm able to understand why I'm creating a certain cause, which is it driven by greed, is it driven by the envy, jealousy, or greediness, is it driven by the demeaning of myself or the demeaning of other. Till the time I'm able to map whatever causes I'm creating over the period of time, then I'll start nudging myself over the period of time in a right manner. It will take a lot of willpower, it will take a lot of determination, and it is going to take a lot of mental fortitude to overcome these three poisons in the life. Some people may have more than one poison, some people have less poison, some people maybe in a particular profession, that profession in itself let make them create a lot of these kind of bad causes, right? So there are people who are in the position, who are in the particular job scenario, which expose them more towards lust, which expose them more towards power. There are positions, there are certain jobs which expose them more towards the fighting, yelling, jealousy, envy, and similarly, there are positions which will definitely make you feel very little, or maybe you start feeling, belittling other. So, lot of social economic scenario will also come into picture. But nonetheless, if you really want to change your karma, and changing karma is not a single day thing, even when you are chanting or doing I would say that in your entire life, if you are able to cross off any of the single karma as well, or two, three karma, that would be considered as very good life. Because if you are, whatever samskar tendencies you are getting in this life, and you are able to do away with one, two, or three, ultimately it means that from the next life onwards, you are going to you are starting from minus of these tendencies, right? Whatever tendencies, or the impact of these tendencies, the magnitude or the intensity of this negative tendencies will be very less, right? And this is the crux of changing the karma, and this is the crux of human revolution as well. When we say I am doing human revolution, I am changing myself from within. And what I am changing myself from within, I am changing the tendency of greed, I am changing the tendency of anger, I am changing the tendency of foolishness. Do an experiment. Whatever decision you have taken in your life, whatever incidents which you think didn't go as you planned, try to map them to these buckets and put in comments. Can you be able to map it or not? And based on this, what action you have created, right? So ultimately, we have discussed a lot of concepts. We talked about cause and effect. We talked about 10 factors of life. We talked about 9 level of consciousness. In a summary, we talked about the 3 kind of poison and how to turn poison into medicine. And the crux of everything is, don't work at the cause level, work at the internal cause level, and at internal cause level, map it to greed, anger, and foolishness, and work backwards to create the right cause. Thank you.